Well, folks, in today's video, I visit the Hobby Center located in Ottawa, Ontario. I originally visited this store back in the spring of 2018, and at the time I really didn't do much of a tour of the store, which is something I kind of regretted. So in today's visit, I was really hoping to give you guys more of a comprehensive tour of the store and kind of show you guys around a little bit more. I actually met the owner at the Elmer Train Show. You guys might remember his stand from that video. And I asked if I could do a video on the store, and he said that that was totally fine. So I did a really comprehensive tour and tried to capture everything to see. Anyway, so here's the first part of the store. This is all focusing on the scenery, really something any good hobby shop should have. You've got molds, trees, etc., grass, really everything you need to build, a basic layout. And as you can see, they had a pretty good selection of all those materials. So that's something I'm always happy to see at any hobby store. And over here, they had some N-scale stuff, which is something I'll give this store a lot of credit. They don't really have anything in O-scale, but they have a lot of N-scale, and they have quite a bit of HO. This is certainly not the biggest store I've ever seen, but they have a great selection nonetheless. So this display right here had the majority of their N-scale stock, and as you can see, they've got quite a range of locomotives. They did have some other locomotives in other parts of the store, which I'll show you guys later, and down here is their rolling stock. Another thing they had in N-scale was they had a lot of kind of additions, so pieces of track, etc. Lots of things for NNHO layouts, tons of little details, which is another thing I like to see at hobby stores. Now on to the rest of the store. They had a whole bunch of starter sets. These are pretty much all Bachmann ones in this section, although they did have some vintage Mahano / President's Choice sets. And here's some of the N-scale track I was talking about a second ago. As you can see, they have quite a bit of that. Several different makes too, which is kind of good. Down here they had some rolling stock. These are some passenger cars. None of them were really my taste, but they had quite a decent amount of them. They also had N-scale used track, which was not something I was expecting to see. Of course, they also had used HO track, which is something a little bit more common to see in these types of stores. I really like when stores have these types of bins. This one had some used lights in it, some used signal posts. A lot of the stuff is unopened vintage stock, which is sort of interesting. It could be exciting to find that stuff still in the box after all these years, and they had quite a few of those little odds and ends type features. Not entirely sure what that was. And yeah, the Bachmann pool, I've seen those before. Yeah, just lots of kind of knickknacks. Now onto the used rolling stock. This is something that most hobby shops that carry used stuff have, and I always find these kind of exciting because you just never know what you're going to find in these types of sections. I really like, you get a lot of the common like lifelike and Bachmann stuff in these sections, but sometimes you find custom pieces and things like that. So it's always sort of exciting going through them. These two bins in particular had some cabooses in them. Down here they had a few vintage building kits. And this bin to the right pretty much was all cabooses. These ones were all pretty common. There was nothing in this one that seemed too interesting to me, but still kind of nice to see. Here's some more vintage stock still in the box, which is sort of cool. I like this, an old lifelike circus train. My dad actually had one of those as a kid. Yeah, just lots of vintage stock right there. Okay, so the store's Cho Scale Locomotive selection. Nice. I think this is probably one of the best parts of this store. First of all, the thing I really like about it is that they have a nice variety of both new and used stock, some of which is older stock still in the box, but they also have many new releases, and then they have a ton of unboxed used stuff, which is something that I just like to see in any store. So here's some of their stock right here. The ones up on this shelf, these are all dummies. And as we move down, you guys will start to see some of the actual inboxed newer releases. So right here is kind of used vintage stuff still in the box, which is all kind of cool. You can see there's one random DCC on board Bachmann locomotive in that bunch, which is sort of funny. But over here you can see these are much more modern releases, something probably would have come out within about the last decade or so, so all fairly new. So that's a lot of their newer stuff right there. But as we move over here, you'll start to see they've got tons of used stock, which is just, again, it's really something I like to see in any store, especially the selection of used stock. As you can see, they've got tons of different locomotives. Some of them are more common than others, but still, a great variety nonetheless. The prices here in their locomotive selection, I have to say, are a bit mixed. There are definitely some great deals, and then there are some other deals which I would say are up for debate. But it is a great selection nonetheless, which I would say is probably one of the best parts of this store. Some of the steam engines over to the right here I just thought were beautiful. The one with the red cab I thought was a really cool piece. And then they've got some other ones. That's an old Tycho Manoa in the blue. I believe it's a Baltimore and Ohio. I think they've got a little bit of IHC/Mahano stock. Back there, that's a Lionel switcher. They've got a British steam locomotive over there. I'm not entirely sure about that. All black locomotive. And then most of the ones over here are Bachmann. So a lot of them were Bachmann. I think that Sea Liner isn't, but most of them were. And then the ones off to the right here, I think those were Mantua steamers, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. I don't really know, to be honest with you guys. And down here we had some more Bachmann locomotives, Lifelike, Model Power. There's that European one. I don't know who made that, but yeah. Over here, they also had a couple trolleys. That was sort of interesting. I suspect those are European, though. And more rolling stock. They had a lot of these RDC units from Athearn. I wasn't sure if they were all band drive or not, but they definitely had a lot of them, which was sort of interesting. There was a Rapido item right there. Here we've got one of my favorite manufacturers for older stuff, which is Athearn Blue Box. Those things are pretty tough. And yeah, I saw this Tycho engine in the middle there at actually the train show, so that was sort of interesting. Yeah, I'm not so sure who made most of the locomotives on this shelf down here. I mean, I recognize a few of the makes, but that's about it. Now here was another display. In this one they had a brand new track. They had a few Bachmann pieces, which looked sort of interesting. Different manufacturers, really. They had more N-scale within this shelf. And over here in a second, I found a N-scale GG1. I believe this is the same GG1 I might have spotted at the Elmer train show. It was sort of funny. I was recognizing so much of the stock from the train show. They really brought a lot of it out. Well, folks, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I did, at the end of the day, walk away with a few really cool pieces, a couple locomotives, and some other odds and ends, but I figure that's going to be for another day. Thank you all so much for watching.